Hi everybody, welcome back to Julia at Home. I'm Julia. This video is going to be the first in a series I'm doing of our curriculum picks for our 2021 to 2022 school year. So I have a third grader, a first grader, a 2-year-old toddler, and this baby here who is just over 2 months old. And I homeschool using for the younger ones, I really like the Montessori method, and for the older ones, I really like Charlotte Mason. However, I'm more eclectic in that I pull in things from Waldorf, unit studies, all sorts of things that work for us. So, and if you want more information about the different styles, I do have a video on homeschooling methods that I will link up here. This first video is going to focus on my third graders curriculum. I call this curriculum Charlotte Mason inspired because I am really inspired by the Charlotte Mason philosophy in that I'm trying to give my kids a feast for them to take what they will. And so we have a lot of subjects, and some of those subjects we keep, once a week or really short lessons. However, it's not a pure Charlotte Mason curriculum. I don't do history necessarily as she would, and I don't really use the Charlotte Mason curriculums, as it were, for things like reading and writing and math, although what I'm using is not really that far off from what Charlotte Mason would have done. So let's start off with language arts. So again, my daughter's going into third grade. She's actually a really good reader. Kind of that summer between first and second grade is when she really took off. And for her second grade year, I've let her read just for fun. And she does read a lot, and she goes through phases where she reads more than others. And I think that's normal because I do the same thing. But we have been working through the Logic of English Foundations program very slowly. I think we started when she was in kindergarten. And so we're still working through it. Let me move this. Hold on. She is in the middle here of Foundation C, and I'm really hoping to finish this year and hopefully at least start D, which I do have. I ended up buying their whole package that included the extra books that come with it. And so see where we are now, we're continuing to go through a lot of double and triple letter and more phonograms. It's things to really help her with spelling and just reading fluency, even though she can read pretty much everything now. And so, yeah, we're going through it to really just give her that solid foundation of phonics so that it will help her going forward. And there are also spelling words and such in here. And so I use it basically for that. And the goal is to do a lesson twice a week. So 2 lessons a week. And I try to do just the whole lesson at once at this point. And then for language arts, for reading, I'd already mentioned she reads for fun on her own, and I want her to continue that, but I also want to assign her a few books and also just make sure she's reading consistently. I've created a reading log in my planner, my homeschool planner for her, but I'm also hoping to create one for her either in here or in her room on the wall that she can track, and maybe something a little bit fun. But my goal that I have in mind is for her to be reading 2 to 4 books a month, depending on length. She's reading chapter books. I should say that. And my plan is to pick a couple books that, like between 3 and 4, that either pair well with what we're studying at the time, or just something I feel like it would be great to expose her to, so maybe a little bit of nonfiction, just so we're getting different genres in. And my plan is to pick 3 or 4 for each month and give her those and have her choose 2, maybe 3 if she wants, out of those 3 to 4 to read. So it's kind of assigned reading, but she does have a choice in it. And then also have her do 1 to 2 of her own free books. So, right. So if she's doing 2 to 4 books total a month, hopefully at least 1 would be assigned by me, and 1 would be her choice. And for her books, especially the ones that I'm kind of assigning her or that are more in line with the subjects we're doing for school, I am going to have her narrate to me. Not like something really stressful. We're not doing written narrations. Just the goal is to do a chapter each school day and to come to me afterwards when I have time and just tell me about what happened in the chapter. And she's really good about she's good at narrating. So I'm trying to just make this simple and just a way for me to check in with her, make sure she's done her reading that day and that she's following what's happening. I'm not really concerned with her reading comprehension, and I might be doing more on that if I were, but I'm not really. So I think that should be sufficient for me to know that she's done her reading and she's understanding. We've got a lot going on for writing. So she's been doing copywork for several years now, and we started and have been continuing in cursive. And she's pretty good with that. We need to brush up a bit on the capital cursive letters. They're just not used as often. So I need to make sure she can know all of them by recall. So we're going to be working on that a little bit at the beginning of the school year. And then she's going to be continuing to do written narrations and copywork in cursive. In the past, we've used the Brave Writer arrows and Quiver of Arrows for our copywork, and I do really like those. And I still have a couple from the original Quiver of Arrows program that I got that we haven't used. And I don't know if I might even have 1 or 2 arrows that we didn't get to last year. However, I might try something different this year. So first of all, I'm not going to necessarily make her do copywork every week because we've got other stuff going on here, and I'll show you that in a minute. But the goal is for her to do at least 1 to 2 writing exercises a week. So if she's doing 1 to 2 written narrations, like if she's doing a written narration for history and one for science, I'm not going to also have her do copywork. And depending on how long her written narrations were for history or science, I might not make her do a copywork for that either. And then I went ahead and I purchased some books, and they're not here yet, but I'll have the resources linked below so you can see. And it's just cursive copywork that's like great literature. And I think I got one that was great literature, and I think I got one that was like George Washington's Rules for Civility, just because my daughter really likes George Washington. And we'll actually also be getting to the American Revolution, hopefully, at the end of the school year. So I've got some of those that I can sprinkle in. I'm also thinking of letting her do some choices for copywork. I might choose a poem. So we're not going to have it as strict. So I'm not going to really follow a program as strictly for copywork. It's going to be more week by week a choice. But since I'm getting the books, that way if I'm not feeling particularly creative that week or just haven't had time to come up with something, I can just pull that book out and take something from there. So that's my plan for copywork in itself, and I expect her to do that in cursive. However, I also want her to know how to write in print. Sometimes you need it, and she might end up preferring that. I want her to be able to do both. And actually, usually cursive is taught in 3rd grade now in schools, and they've learned print before. So I'm kind of flipping it. She actually taught herself print while we've been learning cursive. She can write in print, and she does, and she reads in print. And so she just really needs a refresher. She doesn't need like a whole lot of hands-on help with that. And so I found this book. It's the Print Penmanship Workbook for Kids. She's actually already started it, so that's why it looks a little funny. There's a pencil in there. And this is perfect for what I want. It goes through, you can see she's already started here. It goes through each letter, capital and lowercase. If I were just starting print with a young child, I would just start with lowercase. That's how I do cursive. But it does it, and it has coloring pages throughout. And this is all animal themed, which is perfect for my animal loving child. And then after it goes through all the letters, it goes into writing words, and then sentences at the end, or even like more like kind of copywork itself in here. So she's also going to be working her way through this. And then additionally, I was going to have her do that for the first half of the year and then introduce typing for the second half of the year. But she's really excited about typing, so we might start right away. And I actually purchased The Good and the Beautiful's Typing 1. I was looking at it online and thinking about it, and I showed it to her, and she's just super excited. And I'm pretty sure this is secular. From what I could find and looking through, it doesn't look like there's any religious content in here. But it starts off with like positioning, and then it gets to this. And so this is, she will be using, that we have a small laptop that we set aside for the kids to use occasionally, and she has used it occasionally to look up things like things on mermaids and such with supervision. And so I'll be pulling that out for her, and she'll just put this next to her. And the lessons are super short and easy. And so, and here's the introduction there. So I'm really excited about this. She's really excited about this. So I have to kind of feel out how many times a week we're going to be doing this, as well as the print book. Like I said before, she will be doing, the copy work, but that's the reason I don't want her doing too much copy work. I don't want her to wear her hands, get really, really tired and grumpy about the whole situation. So if we're doing a day where we have copy work, we may not do those, and then maybe on other days we'll do one or both of those. So I'm still putting everything together. I just wanted to share with you our overall curriculum choices. The last thing for language arts is just a little bit of grammar. Now, we haven't done a whole lot of grammar. We've done some basic punctuation just for our copy work, and while we were doing, there's some included in the Brave Writer products that we were using. But also, and there's also a little bit of our Logic of English books. And then I just introduced her to just what the parts of speech are last year. We just slowly went over what they were and did some exercises recognizing those. And so I think I'll just continue, just make sure she's knowing basic punctuation and like kind of review the parts of speech. But I don't think I'm going to do anything else beyond that. There is some spelling and such in our Logic of English, but and some grammar, but I don't feel the need to. It still feels young in third grade to be doing a lot of that. And I did hear once that you could just like do grammar for like a year, like each like elementary year, one middle school year, one high school year, just do like a dive into grammar without having to do it every single year because it can get tedious. So I have that kind of in the back of my mind, but I might just make sure she remembers the parts of speech. And obviously if she's writing, she needs to be capable of doing the basic punctuation of, periods and commas and exclamation points, question marks, quotation marks, all those punctuation things. We will keep going over and reviewing so that she can use them properly. The other big individual subject is math. So in the past, I have done kind of a mix of Charlotte Mason and Montessori math. And I will post my video of that here too. And then I started integrating more worksheets, which worked really well with my daughter. And I've been using Math Mammoth for that. And I did it, 1, because I thought it was a good review. 2, because she actually likes worksheets sometimes. And 3, because I needed something for our portfolio to show the state how she was progressing in math. And we also have a math notebook that we use as well. I should put that out there. But that also requires me writing down the equations. And I will continue to use that sometimes. However, I've decided that we're going to use the Math Mammoth curriculum more as it's meant to be used this year. Now, I can't use, there's very rarely a time I use a curriculum exactly as it's intended to be used. And you will have seen that on my channel before. But so basically where we are, let me back up here. I've been using my math guideline for my own outline for what we're doing for math with her. And so we're kind of ahead on operations for where Math Mammoth is starting third grade. She's very good at doing addition and subtraction with out to thousands and, grouping, regrouping, and all that, and exchanging. Regrouping, exchanging, I think, are the same thing, but yes. And we have done some on coins and money, and we've done some work on time and reading the clock, the analog clock. But I want to do more. There's some topics we haven't gotten into as much, including some basic geometry and measurements and fractions. And I did start doing that a bit with her with some Math Mammoth worksheets last year. So we kind of delved into the ones that were in the first grade book, and then just starting the ones in the second grade book. So here's what I'm doing this year. I am starting her off with the second grade Math Mammoth book, even though she's in third grade. And we are just doing, we've actually already started this, so we've already done some of it. But for most of the sections or chapters, I'm just having her do the review section. And I should mention, I have these all in digital form, so I'm not printing out the whole thing when I'm talking about this. I'm just printing out what we're going to use. So I'm printing out the just the review sections for most chapters, with the exception of chapters. There's one that does like a more detailed review of time going into the minutes, which she needs practice on, and then the ones on like geometry, measurements, and fractions. Those chapters I am printing out in total. And then other than that, we're just doing the review. And that way, if she does need more practice with some of the operations work, I can go back and print out those whole chapters or give her more work and practice in that area. But I just want to check in and make sure she's got those concepts down. So that's what we're going to do with the whole grade 2 Math Mammoth curriculum. And then we're going to move into grade 3. And when I'm presenting, when she's learning something new, like when we've done a little bit of multiplication and division, especially with mental math, actually with word problems, some really simple versions of that. But I'm going to take out Montessori materials to do a Montessori presentation when there's new information. And also I do sometimes pull out things like the golden beads or the stamp game for her to use as manipulatives when she's doing a Math Mammoth sheet. I don't think, sometimes I'm like, this is supposed to be mental math, let's just do this mental math. But I think it's good to have that concrete foundation in these topics. I've also gotten some materials to use for fractions and stuff, so she'll have manipulatives for that as well. And I think that's it for math. So I'm going to move on to her extras. So I'm calling these extras because these are individual things, but they're not the basics, language arts, and math. So the first is piano. She has been taking piano for 2 years. This will be her third. It's a teacher at a local music school. And so she's going to continue that. I have asked all of my children, I'm requiring them to play an instrument for at least 3 years. And then, so this will be her third. And then after that, she'll be able to choose to continue, to switch instruments, or to stop. But I really just wanted to give them a foundation of music, and learning an instrument is, I think, the best way to do that. For her, I also got her this children's gratitude journal. It's a creative gratitude journal for kids. There is a bunch online, and this just looked like it would match us the best for right now. So there's some introductory pages here that are kind of cool. But I'll just show you a few of the pages. Most of them have the same format. So you choose the day here, what you're thankful for, and then there's different prompts on each day. And sometimes they do emotions, sometimes they do it like this. So it's a little bit different each day. And the goal is that each school day, when we sit down for individual school, we'll probably start with this. And she is writing on her own now, so she'll just have complete control over this, and I'll just want to just verify that she's done it for the day. But as long as she's just doing it, it's kind of free reign. For her, I'm really trying to focus this year more on some character skills, on some just on character, and also some other skills, just like practical life skills around the home. And so this is for her. Sometimes she can be a glass half empty, have a glass half empty mindset, and I'm trying to get her to shift to more gratitude. And this is one way I'm doing that. This is not the only way. I think my demonstrations and doing things as a family are probably even more effective, but I thought this would be good for her. And she's really creative, and so I'm hoping she'll enjoy it. We also have Handwork, which she might also be doing with her brother a little bit, but they're obviously working on their individual subjects on individual levels. So my son has asked to learn sewing, and I will get to him in the next curriculum video, so stay tuned for that. And my daughter also wants to know to sew. She's specifically asked to do crochet. So, but she has already started working on a quilt. I know how to sew. I haven't made a quilt, but we have a good family member who's also a friend, who is a fantastic quilter, and she does it all by hand, and it's so impressive. Anyway, she helped her put together design. Like, I went with my daughter, we picked up fabric, and then our family/friend helped her put it together, put the design together. And then she's been very slowly over the last year, maybe even more, just been working on that on and off. And so I want her to finish that, preferably by Christmas, but at least by the end of the school year. That is one of the goals that I've set, is I'd like her to finish her quilt. But since my son also wants to learn sewing, and I was just looking at various ways to teach it, I have some different resources that I've gotten. And one of them is Simply Charlotte Mason has video lessons. Yeah, they're video lessons on some different handwork, and one of the ones they have is sewing. And so I purchased that, and it comes with, a list of what happens of the skills in each lesson, and they end up making a few projects. So we will need to go out and get some materials for it, and I think that could actually be fun to kind of take a field trip out to the fabric store and pick out some fabrics and thread and all the things we will need. And then I think they end up making like blankets and a little bag and maybe a pillow. And so we're going to work through that. And ideally we would do at least one lesson, like a lesson a week, and then practice else at other times in the week. But again, we do a lot of subjects, so I'm still figuring out exactly how we're going to fit all the pieces in. But basically sewing in the fall, and then hopefully we will complete that lesson, or that sewing curriculum, I guess. And then I may purchase the one for crochet for her to work on this coming winter, which I think she would really enjoy. In the hopes of these videos not being too long, I'm going to do family or group subjects in a separate video, but let me just give you a rundown of what they are right now. So we're doing history, we're doing science, we're doing geography. This year is US geography. We're doing artist study and composer study. I am finally doing a curriculum that I'm putting together on the Unitarian Universalist principles, going through each principle. There's 7 of them right now, and I think they keep thinking of adding an 8th. I don't think they have yet. Literature, art, health, and foreign language, which we've been doing Italian, and I was thinking of adding French. And I have, my daughter wants to continue Italian, my son wants to do French, and I would like to do both. So we'll see where we end up on that. Health is just done a couple times a year. So those are our group subjects, and look out for a video later on those. So that is my plan for my daughter's 3rd grade year. I'm very excited about it. Look out for the next videos in this series, which will be my son's 1st grade curriculum, our group or family subjects, as well as what I'm planning on doing with my toddler this year. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, like this video by clicking that thumbs up, and I will talk to you later.